Hi, in this video we are going to talk about fractions that are equal to each other, otherwise known as equivalent fractions. So let's start with a really simple example that you probably already know is true, and that's 1/2 is equal to 2/4. So first, I'll explain this by drawing some pictures. Let's draw a picture of 1/2. And now I'm going to just copy this picture and get another half and draw one line that changes the fractions from halves to fourths. So you can see that I actually had the exact same amount shaded in both circles. So 1/2 is equal in value to 2/4. Unfortunately, not all fractions are so easy to picture. Let's try one that's a little bit more difficult to draw. 3/5 is equal to 6/10. Now, I can draw fifths, and I will shade 3/5 here. And I can copy this picture so that I have the exact same amount shaded, and I will turn these fifths into tenths by cutting each of the fifths in half. Okay, so instead of 5 pieces, I now have 10 pieces, and I see that 3/5 is equal in value to 6/10. Well, you could use pictures to help you understand equivalent fractions, but it's not the most efficient method to figure out an equivalent fraction. Especially when the numbers get bigger, it would just be impossible to draw all those pieces accurately. So let's learn how you can find equivalent fractions using only the numbers. If you want to find equivalent fractions using only the numbers, there are 2 secrets. The first is you have to do to the top what you do to the bottom. Okay, you must be fair in fractions. Treat the numerator the same as you treat the denominator. And the second rule is that the link between 2 fractions is always multiplication or division, never addition or subtraction. So what does this mean? Let's go back to our basic example. 1/2 is equal to 2/4. Okay. I can see that if I look at the numerators, that from 1 to 2, the link between the 2 numbers, which I'll draw an arrow to show the link, is times 2. And similarly, the link between the 2 denominators, 2 and 4, is times 2. So I have followed my two rules. Number 1, I treat the top as the same as the bottom, and my link is multiplication. Now let's do a problem where you have to create an equivalent fraction given a fraction. So let's do 3/4. 3/4 can be turned into another fraction, but we have to use the rules. So let's pick a link, times 3, and we'll do that to both the numerator and the denominator. So if I do my numerator, I get 3 times 3 is 9, and then I'll do the same thing to the denominators. 4 times 3 is 12, so I get an equivalent fraction, 9/12. You can have also equivalent fractions where the link is division. So let's take an example. 4/6 is equal to how many thirds? Well, you would have to look at your denominators, because there's 2 denominators and you can figure out what the link is. So from 6 to 3, I'm getting smaller, and that means I'm dividing. I'm dividing by 2. So to find the missing number, the missing numerator, I just use that same link, and I take 4, divide it by 2, and I see that 4/6 is equal to 2/3. I recommend that if you're doing equivalent fractions for the first time, and until you feel really comfortable, that you actually draw those arrows in and write the links on top of each of the arrows to be sure that you're doing the same thing to both the numerator and the denominator. And finally, remember that your link has to be multiplication or division. You cannot have links of addition or subtraction. Well, I hope this video helps you to solve equivalent fractions and to find equivalent fractions whenever you need them.